Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. I'm Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Peapod Mats. Peapod Mats are 100% leak-proof mats that make nighttime messes of all kinds easier to clean up. And today's episode is also brought to you by Rumina Nursing Wear's Pump and Nurse Collection. All-in-one product that you can both breastfeed as well as pump hands-free in. And we will hear more from those sponsors after Dianne shares with us the review of the week.
And the review of the week is by Stimp364. And her review is titled Lactivists Unite. This podcast inspires and invigorates me every day. I have and continue to struggle in my breastfeeding journey, but made the decision to keep trying and dedicate myself to this relationship. Your podcast has offered so much insight, education, and pride for what we go through as breastfeeding moms. This podcast makes me proud to be a breastfeeding mama, and I want to share my story and struggles. And I love this because she's referring to this as her relationship. And that's what it is. You're building a relationship with your baby, and that's amazing. So thank you, Stimp364, for plugging away.
Thank you.
And keep trying, and just, keep listening, and we'll keep supporting you for sure. And you could be our review of the week, but you have to send us a review first because we can't just guess. So send us a review of the week, and we will read it, and we would love to talk about you on the air. And send us some ideas if you want to too. Let us know what you like. And what are we going to do today, Abby?
Today is super exciting. I'm talking to Elisabeth from 1 Ounce at a Time. She is lots of different things. She is, first of all, one of the winners of our photo contest from a couple of months ago.
This is like the photo contest that'll never go away.
I know. It should never go away. These people are so badass.
It is. It is so cool that we just can keep it going for all this time.
I know, and have these incredible episodes based on these parents. It just is so amazing. Ugh. So her picture was the one where she was pumping in a stadium. And she is also the owner of 1 Ounce at a Time, which is an organization that does a ton of different things. And we'll just get right to it because she explains it all. And I hope you enjoy.
I'm so excited. Cool.
Hi, Elisabeth. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's really nice of you to take time out of your busy day to talk with us.
Absolutely. Hi, Abby. Hi, mamas everywhere.
So you are, first of all, one of the winners of our photo contest that we held a couple of months ago. You were pumping in a giant stadium with thousands of people around you.
Yes, I was really excited to submit that photo and just be a part of your photo contest that you put on. And I was really just excited to share what breastfeeding in public looked like for me, which right now is exclusively pumping. And one of the biggest crowds that I've ever pumped in before.
That's awesome. Didn't you say it was Disney or?
Yeah, it was at Disney World. We were at the Fantasmic show and I needed to pump. So it was either go back home for the evening or stay and pump at the show.
And how was it received?
I was pretty sly about it. I've got to pumping in public and just kind of doing my thing. So there were a couple people around me that kind of, noticed that something was a little off, but largely I don't think anyone noticed.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so true about so many, especially pumping and breastfeeding, you can be so nervous doing it in public. And a lot of times people don't even know you're doing it.
Right. And I think, I've been pumping for over 4 years now. And I think that, maybe if it had been with my first child or maybe one of the first times pumping in public, it would have been a little bit more nerve-wracking. But I was kind of just my mindset was I really wanted to stay and watch the show. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't care what anyone else thinks about me. And, I know I have rights and I know I'm protected. And I know that I had my little one with me and she wanted fresh milk, and I was just going to do my thing no matter what.
Good for you. And so what some people may or may not know is that you are the owner, creator, head badass, however you want to call it, at 1 ounce at a time.
Yes. Yes. So,
What,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, what is it? What is it? What do you do there?
So 1 ounce at a time is a web page and a motherhood support community and public social media pages that I have founded and created. And really it was in response to a video that I had come out about 2 years ago with 60-second documentaries. And they had come to my house and just kind of filmed like a sneak peek into my life with hyperlactation syndrome. And that video has been seen over 145 million times all over the world. And my personal social media pages were flooded with messages and moms seeking help and just people that were curious about what I do and how I do it. And like just moms, looking for advice or donor milk or, anything. And I was like, well, this is pretty overwhelming. And I had thought about kind of closing my social media down for a little bit, but then I also saw, I'm kind of an empath. So I saw this huge need for support out there. Moms were looking for it. So I kind of took that opportunity and launched the social media pages 1 ounce at a time. And it's really just grown and flourished from there.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. And you provide so much support to so many people. And it's true. There was this need because people didn't really know. Sometimes people, all the time, people are dismissed with their concerns. Like, well, I have so much milk. What's going on? And, I don't know how to pump or any kind of concerns like this. And people are often dismissed or they don't know where to get resources. And so instead of kind of going away, and you just kind of stepped up and decided to help.
Right. I kind of used that 60-second documentary and then a lot of the media and press afterwards to just kind of get, not only my medical condition, it's pretty rare. So it's not going to necessarily relate to a lot of moms, but what was relatable was the struggles of breastfeeding and pumping and trying to figure out this whole motherhood thing in addition to breastfeeding. It's a whole nother, beast after pregnancy. And I kind of just wanted to share my story and put it out there and kind of normalize, not only, continuing on the furtherment of normalized breastfeeding, but normalized milk sharing and normalized pumping in public as well. And so sharing my story in that capacity was really important to just really kind of get the message out there as broadly as possible.
Right. So tell us more about the medical condition that you're talking about. You said it's rare. What is it called? What is it?
So it's called hyperlactation syndrome, and it is a very rare medical condition in lactating mothers. A lot of people, I think it's misdiagnosed a lot as well, just because a lot of people don't realize what it all entails. Essentially, my body produces, my average daily amount currently is about 235 ounces. And that's not milliliters, that is ounces per day. And my body just kind of produces it, and it feeds off of hormones that are being released, mainly prolactin. And it's not a matter of supply and demand, where normal breastfeeding would be, based on supply and demand, nursing, pumping, and you can grow, if you wanted to, an oversupply with adding in nursing or pumping sessions. But with hyperlactation syndrome, it's largely hormone driven. and my body will produce the breast milk regardless of the supply and demand. So if I were not to pump or not to nurse, basically the milk glands in the breast tissue just will not stop producing the milk, and I could get extremely engorged, end up with clogs, mastitis, or abscesses a lot faster than maybe a mom with regular or even oversupply. So hyperlactation is, you can find out if you have it by getting your prolactin levels checked. And then it's also usually about, if you're producing over maybe like 150, 160 ounces a day. And then also just displaying a lot of other supply or other indications that severe oversupply moms might have.
So this is not your typical oversupply. This is not somebody who maybe started pumping really early and ended up, producing more milk than she needed. This is this is more than just more than you need.
Right. When I was pregnant with my firstborn, I actually started leaking copious amounts of breast milk when I was about 5 to 6 months pregnant. I had no idea what was going on with my body. I was not pumping at that time, not hand expressing. My body was literally just leaking milk. I was in school full-time at that time. I was studying healthcare, and I remember going to IKEA and buying those huge packs of washcloths and bringing a stack of maybe 8 with me to class and just shoving them in my bra. I didn't know about, breast pads. I didn't know about anything like that. I just knew that I was pregnant. My body was doing weird things, and it was really embarrassing, at the time, to not know what my body was doing and how to deal with that.
Right. And so at that point, did the doctors know something was unusual, or did you ask?
I think at that time, just being a new mom and just new to pregnancy and new to all of that stuff, and also in my class, I think I was like one of 2 females that were in the specific classes that I was in. I was just really embarrassed about what my body was doing. I did talk to my doctors about it, and I think that a few of them kind of brushed it off and thought maybe I was talking about milliliters, like I was getting dripping just 6 milliliters into a cup or something. And it wasn't, it would be like 6 ounces. And so I think that there was maybe a little bit of disbelief at first. But then at some appointments, I was working with midwives as well. I would, show them like what my freezers look like and whatnot. And they would be very impressed, but nobody had really mentioned hyperlactation at that time. Just, lactation during pregnancy.
I wonder how much they knew about hyperlactation.
Not very much.
Yeah. I wonder if they just didn't know.
I look back and I don't feel like they knew a lot about it. They weren't even the ones to diagnose with hyperlactation. That came from a specialist later on. But I do remember, it was really amazing to be connected with midwives and stuff at the time, because I would have all this milk and I could just bring it into my appointments and they would use it. It was actually like a birthing center. They would use it and give it to many of the new moms and parents that had just given birth and were struggling with supply.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And so then you had, so this is your first pregnancy.
Right. Yep.
How many pregnancies have you had?
I've had 2.
Okay. And so you've just continued. You said, so you've been pumping for 4 years.
Yeah.
So is that straight through the 2 children?
I did. Yeah. So I did pump like halfway through. I started with a hand pump or hand expression about halfway through my first pregnancy, just because that was, the midwife said it was fine to do. It wasn't causing contractions or anything like that. So I did start with just a hand pump at first. And then when I was pregnant with my second, about a year and a half after the birth of my first, I did continue pumping all through that pregnancy. It didn't cause any complications or anything. I did kind of try and like bring the supply down a little bit as much as I could physically, but I definitely I pumped through every single day of pregnancy. It was not fun, but I also had, a young one that was still very much in love with her mommy Milky. So that was the driving force that, kind of kept me going through that.
And so when you had your first child, and then did you try breastfeeding?
Yes, I was I always knew that regardless, like when I was pregnant with my first, I knew that I wanted to try and be good at this, breastfeeding thing. I had no idea how my body would react or respond. I was kind of excited at first to be leaking and know that, I kind of have like, I should have, good milk supply, but I also just didn't know anything about anything that I was dealing with, not breast pumps, not latch, not anything. And you can read books and you can attend classes, but I remember after giving birth, I was like, oh, I'm going to let her do the breast crawl and we're going to latch. She did have a really good latch, but I just remember her latching and it hurt so bad, not only from the latch, but I was, still delivering the placenta and the uterus was contracting. And I was like, wait a second, I don't know if I can do this breastfeeding thing right now. But in the end, it all turned out okay. I was able to nurse both my first and my second born. I think we kind of self-weaned about from actual nursing at about 11 to 12 months with both. I know I was struggling with being touched out and gymnastics and teething, plus pumping on top of that because I was dealing with all of this oversupply as well. So it was just a lot. And once I got to that year mark, I was like, we are going to need to transition to, bottles or cups or something because I am very, 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 very touched out. And it was a difficult decision to make. The further postpartum I get, about a year ago, I was only producing about maybe like 190 or 200 ounces a day. And I'm in the next year, I have increased about, 20 to 30 ounces a day. But I also feel like that's because of the pump that I use. It's just really good at emptying the breast tissue. So I feel like it's just getting more out.
Oh, okay. Well, I will be getting a lot of messages about what pump are you using?
The good one.
So at what point did that 60-second documentary, was that what it was called? 60-second?
Yeah. So 60 Second Docs is a production company that does 60-second videos, essentially.
Yeah.
Short documentaries.
So when did that come out? What around the time frame of all of, your first, when did that come out?
So that came out just shy of a year and a half. It came out in September of 2017.
Okay, so
my youngest was a year and a half at the time.
Okay. And so were you, before that came out, you were having all of this milk and you were storing it. What were you doing with it? Did you start, how did you get into the whole donation? Did you start donating it then?
I started donating shortly after the birth of my firstborn, actually. So a little backstory on me, I'm prior military, United States Coast Guard, which is the life-saving service. And I was, part of search and rescue. I was part of federal law enforcement for the Coast Guard. And I did a lot of just giving back to the community at the time, participating in any, search and rescue cases that I could, that kind of thing. And I was also really big into advocating for blood donation. And so every 56 days, I would be in the chair donating and encouraging others to do so. But then when I got pregnant with my firstborn, you can't donate while you're pregnant. So I started looking into other ways, what I could do. Now that I was, pregnant, going to have a baby, probably wouldn't want to donate blood like soon after birth either, just personal preference, recovery, and health. So I learned about milk donation and had no idea that I would have hyperlactation, had no idea the amounts of milk that I would have, but I knew that I wanted to try and donate something if I could. So I already felt like I had the right kind of mindset to donate, and then finding out that I had hyperlactation syndrome just really, funneled into that and became mass donation. So I started donating very, very shortly after the birth of my firstborn.
That's amazing, because I feel like most people get involved in milk donation, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like most people get into it kind of accidentally. I didn't even never thought about milk donation before I had kids. Didn't think much about breastfeeding or anything like that. But you, before you even had kids, were thinking about milk donation.
Yes, and breastfeeding. I don't know. I've been a huge advocate for it. I knew that it was going to be amazing. I've always been kind of in tune with my body, and I just breastfeeding and everything just fascinates me. So I didn't know I didn't know a lot about it, and it was very much a learning experience. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of motherhood groups on Facebook or milk sharing groups, or those were just in the baby stages. And so I didn't even know about them at the time. And I just started with local donations off of social media. So just through my birthing center, or mom groups, going to your mom groups and finding out about it that way. Even I took Bradley method classes with my firstborn. And even in my Bradley classes, I connected with a couple of parents in there and donated to them as well.
And we will be right back with more from Elisabeth after a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Rumina Nursing Wear's Pump and Nurse Collection. Are you looking for a bra or tank top you can do both breastfeeding and hands-free pumping in? Don't want to completely disrobe to put on a different pumping top? Rumina Nursing Wear's Pump and Nurse Collection has helped thousands and thousands of breastfeeders reach their breastfeeding goals by offering all-in-one products that breastfeeders can easily nurse and pump hands-free in. With their simple hands-free pumping design, breastfeeders don't have to worry about disrobing completely or putting on additional pumping straps or tops. All of Rumina's products are comfortable to wear all day and supportive for busy multitasking breastfeeders. Badass Breastfeeding listeners can receive an exclusive 20% discount on Rumina's Pump and Nurse Collection by visiting Rumina's website, pumpandnurse.com, and using promo code BB19. And today's episode is also brought to you by Peapod Mats. No more splashing in milk puddles throughout the night. Peapod mats are 100% leak-proof and super absorbent, making messes of all kinds, including those breast milk messes, easier to clean up. While Peapod mats' primary use is for bedwetting and incontinence, they are perfect for the breastfeeding parent. They are reusable, up to 500 plus washes, which is cheaper than buying those $10 or $20 plastic protectors you need to replace. They don't move and stay in place without flaps, straps, or Velcro, and no tucking or wrapping around the mattress. The mats are breathable and comfortable with no plastic crinkle sound or cold vinyl. Peapod mats are PVC, vinyl, and latex-free with a TPU waterproof coating that is a greener solution for the environment. Best part is, if you get a Peapod mat for breastfeeding, you can then use it for nighttime potty training. Use promo code BADASS20 for 20% off your order at peapodmats.com. That is peapodmats.com. And this code is valid through August 15th, 2019. And you can find all of the sponsor links, all of the promo codes, and all of our other resources at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, along with all of our other episodes, as well as information about scheduling your lactation consultation with Dianne. And now, let's get back to Elisabeth from 1 ounce at a time.
Oh, it's completely unfathomable to me. I remember about 4 years ago, I was doing all of this milk donation and just kind of sharing on my personal Facebook page. And then it was always kind of a joke between my friends and I. I guess someone had looked up the Guinness World Record and they were like, well, that could be you one day. And I had joked about it. But then like a year later, I had hit that number. That was the current Guinness World Record. And then 4 years later, I've hit it 4 times over.
Oh my God. Do they know?
They do know, but I'm still an active donor. So
you can't, oh my God.
Yeah, I'd be breaking my own record like on a weekly basis. They do
That's
know.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you contacted the Guinness Book of World Records and they know about you. They're waiting for the final count.
They contacted me. I didn't contact them. They heard about me. They heard about my story in the news outlets and things like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's so awesome. So I'm sure that you're keeping track of how much you've donated and how much have you donated at this point?
So we just I had just hit a huge milestone about a month ago, I think, and the New York Post, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the New York Post released another documentary that they filmed in January of this year about my milk donation. And in that video, we announced that I had hit 200,000 ounces donated.
Jeez.
But now currently to date, it's about 215,000 ounces.
I can't even imagine in my brain what that looks like. You haven't had 215,000 ounces in one spot, so.
No, and I always try and convert it. Like my mind can't fathom that amount, so I always try and convert it to gallons.
Yeah,
and that's going to be over 1,500 gallons.
Oh my
of breast milk, which then I can't even fathom. So now I need to figure out how much fits into one of those huge like tanker trucks and kind of like give myself a new visual.
So have you figured that out? Because I would have been on that already. Are you?
Not yet. No, I should be like right after we get off of this. I'm gonna look it up.
How much liquid does a fuel tanker truck hold? That's what we need to Google.
I had tried to make a graph one time where I had taken a clip art of a milk a gallon and then multiplied it by how many, but they all ended up to be like little tiny dots. And I'm like, I can't share a picture of all these little dots.
Right. It doesn't even look like it anymore. Wow. So how do you, so you have so much milk that you're donating to so many people. So how are you contacting people now? And how are you getting it all shipped to everybody? Because that sounds like a full-time job in and of itself.
Oh, it definitely is. So because of these news stories, I've definitely had so many people reach out to me. And unfortunately, like while I would love to feed all the babies, it's physically not possible. So really, I just kind of spread the message of milk sharing, and it's really, touched and encouraged others, or just kind of let others know that they can do that. So that's my bigger message. But for my personal milk donations, there's never like, if there was a waiting list, it would be thousands long.
Right.
I definitely get contacted several times a day from all over the world for milk donation. And I kind of just, I have people that I connect with, and there's never been, set qualifications. There's never been, there's always going to be incredible stories or heartbreaking stories or medical necessity or all of these different situations or reasons. And I'm often asked, like, how do you choose your recipients? And there's no set answer. I feel like there's no situation that's better than another or anything like that. It's kind of just what my heart tells me to do. But now that, my oldest is 4.5 and my youngest is 2.5, and they're very involved with the donation process as well, from like packing coolers to helping like take breast milk bags out of the boxes to like any little project that they want to help to do. I let them help. And so now they can kind of help, pick recipients. And we'll talk about their stories, and we'll talk about, if it would be shipped to them, and I'm sure like they don't have a huge understanding of it, but the bottom line is like they help pick the recipients now, and it's just kind of about like what feels right or what feels good, or making sure that it's going to someone that definitely needs it and would benefit from it.
Yeah, that must be really difficult. So you probably, is that what you get contacted the most about?
No, actually. Well, I mean, I do get contacted about that a lot, but I also get contacted about just, a lot of support questions on, how to increase supply, or questions about supplements, or questions about pumps or pumping products, that kind of thing. Just because they want to know like what I use, they want to know what I recommend. So I would say like those questions are pretty, just because I'm so open about what I do and that kind of thing. And of course, many of these moms know that I can't supply to everyone. But I would say like, donor requests are pretty high up there with just moms that are needing, support as well.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. And do you have any help with these messages?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I have an amazing team. 1 ounce at a time has just grown organically over the last year and a half now. I think across all social media platforms, we have about 50,000 active mamas in the community. And I have a team, a very small team on Instagram and a bigger team on Facebook that helps run all of the different groups that we have going. We have like a relactation group, we have a donor support group, we have a regular support group, an off-topic chat group, and then we're opening up milk sharing pages and a pregnancy group and probably a surrogacy group as well.
Wow.
So I have a team of, I think, 16 mamas right now that kind of help run everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I know that it's hard. I know that it's hard to spend all of your time doing that. And, you're not getting anything out of it except for really helping people.
I love it though. And my team is too. We're all volunteers. It's completely volunteer. And we all are very passionate about what we do. We're all very passionate about supporting moms. Many of us have incredible stories of, overcoming adversity with breastfeeding or pumping, or, maybe even losing a pregnancy and pumping after a loss. We just have, the team is, I've always just looked a step back and just looked at the diversity that's there and just been very thankful for, everyone that has stepped in and stepped up, and the difference and the impact that they're making. Because the breastfeeding world the support world, I feel, is pretty small, and I wish that there was more out there and more that I could do on a daily basis as well. And it's so needed. There's never going to be enough of it out there.
That's true. Because there's so much misinformation that's out there that's confusing. There's a lack of support, and then there's all of this misinformation that then just muddles the waters. And
It just needs to die. The bad information just needs to die.
It needs to die already. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you for pushing back against it, because that's a really, really big thing to do.
Absolutely. And I have to say, like, coming out with 1 ounce at a time. And, I was very influenced, by pages like, of course, the Badass Breastfeeder, Breastfeeding Mama Talk, as a smaller, breastfeeding support page. I grew up in your circles and learning and becoming empowered, and just, I don't care what society thinks, and I'm just going to be me. And by being me, it will also inspire and empower others. So
it will. That's true. It's true. I have a question. So you, I don't know this, but I imagine that you don't plan to do this forever. That at some point you will not want to lactate anymore.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there, because from what I'm understanding is that your body is just making this kind of against your will. It's like you said, it's not supply and demand. It's kind of just coming, it's making it at its own pace.
Right.
How would you stop? Is there, have you thought about, because it sounds like it would be a little different from your situation. Stopping, weaning from the pump would be a little different than somebody else who could just kind of maybe take away some pump sessions and kind of slow the milk production.
Right. I think that my situation is definitely going to be a little bit different. I have, experimented with the medications my doctor has recommended to take when it comes time to wean down. And I think, and I make sure to say this in all of my videos and all of my articles, like, the number one recipients of my breast milk is my children. Both my 4.5-year-old and 2.5-year-old are still drinking mommy's milk, still requesting it. And, they come first. So it's kind of, I'm not quite ready to wean down yet. And it's not my own personal, selfish reasons. It's really because my children are not ready to stop yet. But I do know, like, at 2.5 years postpartum, I'll be very honest, my body is very tired. And it's very taxing mentally and physically. And I know I'm looking forward to stopping eventually for sure. But I'm not sure, that will be the end of the story. I think, personally, my plans are, I've been moving forward with surrogacy to potentially become a gestational surrogate carrier for someone or a couple that cannot have children of their own. And I think after a surrogacy journey, I would probably donate as well. But in order to start that, weaning would have to happen, and I'm okay with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to know about you, about your story, about breastfeeding, about pumping, anything like that?
I want people to not compare their journey to mine, just because mine is so left field, and it's a serious medical condition. And even with my stories and documentaries that have been out there, I always, I wish that they would put in there, and I ask them to put in there sometimes that, I have a serious medical condition and this is not the norm. This is not even remotely the norm. And that's also a difficult point, that I feel I need to constantly make on my own social media pages, to not compare, and to be very proud of your journey, to love your journey, no matter what it looks like, no matter how big or how small. And, because not loving what you are able to do will just cause a lot of stress and doubt. And that is not the purpose of 1 ounce at a time. That is not the purpose of me sharing my story. I want moms to be very empowered and, just very strong and believe in themselves and just really love your journey and love, what you're able to do. That our worth as mothers is not measured in ounces. And when it comes to pumping, pumping is my specialty. It's what I talk about more so on my social media versus nursing, even though we definitely discuss nursing as well. But when it comes to pumping, make sure that you have amazing equipment. Make sure that your flange size is correct. Make sure that you are hands-on with pumping and hand expression. And all of these things, they're difficult to learn, especially for new moms. Just diving into it. And I think that's one reason I'm so passionate about pumping moms, is I know how hard I struggled and had everything wrong. So I know that is one thing that I can definitely make a difference with is helping pumping moms. And also, what was my last point? I just told my little one to go back upstairs. Mommy wasn't done yet.
That's okay. We can cut that right out.
But also find your community. Find people that support you no matter what. Even if it's not your spouse, find your friend that's in it till, you die, basically. Or find your motherhood community, find your mom group, find your Facebook group, and, just reach out in the high times and the low times and, support others and be supported yourself. I feel like breastfeeding, motherhood, pumping, it's also isolating. And at the very least, I'm very thankful for social media outlets where you can kind of just connect with other moms and feel supported, even if you don't have it in your own house.
I love that. Pumping is so hard. There's an art to pumping, and I'm just not a talented artist. It's just so difficult. And thank you so much for giving all that pumping, advice and tips and, helping people learn how to do that. Because, when you first hook up that pump and no milk comes out, that is just panic beyond any panic.
Right. And yeah, we could have a whole podcast on just pumping. You have a whole series on just pumping.
Well, Elisabeth, I think we should do that.
I am on board for that 100%. That is what I'm so passionate about, for sure.
Oh, well, let's do it. We'll schedule it.
All right.
I want to say thank you to you, and I want to say thank you for your service, and I want to say thank you for your donations, and thank you for all of the help that you have given moms, throughout this process of you becoming so much in the eye of the public. Right. You've really taken it and just given so much back.
I feel like this is my little niche in life right now. And this is kind of my way of giving back and just participating in humanity and staying out of politics and staying out of things that bring you down. Helping mothers really brings me joy, and seeing the success and seeing, the difference, the impact that I'm making, even if it's so tiny, really just makes me feel amazing, makes me feel like, I'm making a small little impact on this world.
You're making a huge impact on this world, and don't ever forget that.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on and just sharing my story and talking about all of this. Now. So I really appreciate you and everything that you have been doing as well.
Well, thank you. Where can people find you? So I've already, because you listed a whole bunch of things before. And so if you're listening and you're thinking, oh my God, I want to find that group, don't worry. We're going to put all of the links on our Facebook page, on our website along with this and the podcast.
Okay.
So if you does that sound good? Can we do that so everybody can find all your
definitely.
things? But
Definitely.
mainly we find you at Instagram and Facebook, right?
Right. And if you just go to oneounceatatime.com, the website, when this goes up, is, I think, just going through a little bit of rebranding. We just changed our logo. We added, let me just throw this in here really quick.
Yeah.
We just changed our logo because the 1 ounce at a time logo was largely pumping related, and many of my followers are just nursing moms. And I drew a mom and a nursing baby and placed it inside the pumping flange to not only symbolize that pumping is breastfeeding too, but also be more inclusive to nursing mamas as well. So the new logo is at oneounceatatime.com, and of course on the social media channels. And from that website, I think it should have all the links to social media channels as well.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we will definitely have you back so we can have those episodes on, on all of your expert knowledge on pumping.
I would love to share that. Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Elisabeth. Isn't she just amazing?
It is just it is unbelievable, the stuff that she's doing.
I know. She is just so inspiring. And I hope that all of you loved her as much as we did.
Yeah, and I really do hope that the stories that are coming out from all these mothers that are just, the challenges and the things that they were really proud of and the things that they did and, what happened with their breastfeeding relationship. I hope it is inspiring and motivating for everybody because you are all just amazing. This is just unbelievable, the stories we hear.
Really. And, we are highlighting people on this podcast, but really every single one of you who's listening could be one of these amazing episodes. You're all so unique and amazing and powerful and empowering and inspiring.
Oh my God. Yes. So much so.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.